Hey folks, Yasin here, back again with a new video for you today. Today's video is another history lesson video, but but it's but it's a history lesson video on music, specifically about a band that I have been a huge fan of since I was 10 years old. And that band is Creed. Shout out to all my fellow Creed fans. Hey folks, how's it going? Um yeah, today's Creed history lesson video is an overview of said band, who are currently on tour. They are currently on tour as well as in the studio recording their upcoming fifth album, which is going to be the first since Full Circle in 2009. Alright, let's get into this. Please like this video as well as all of my other videos on my shorts. Please share them, please comment on them, please subscribe to my channel, and please click the bell for new notifications from me. And please follow me on X, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. Here goes. Creed is an American rock band formed in Tallahassee, Florida in 1994. Creed was prominent in the post-grunge movement of the late 1990s and early 2000s, releasing 3 consecutive multi-platinum albums. Human Clay, the band's second studio album, received Diamond Platinum 11 times Diamond Platinum certification by the Recording Industry Association of America, or RIAA. Creed has sold over 28 million records in the United States, over 53 albums worldwide, and was the 9th best-selling musical act of the 2000s. For most of its existence, the band has consisted of lead vocalist Scott Stapp, lead guitarist and backing vocalist Mark Tremonti, drummer Scott Phillips, and bassist Brian Marshall. Creed's first 2 studio albums, My Own Prison in 1997 and Human Clay 1999, were released to commercial success despite generally unfavorable critical reception. Marshall would leave the band in 2000. Human Clay contained the Billboard Hot 100 #1 single With Arms Wide Open, which won the Grammy Award for Best Rock Song in 2001. The band's third album, Weathered, was released in 2001, with Tremonti on bass guitar. After Creed disbanded in 2004, Stapp pursued a solo career while Tremonti, Phillips, and Marshall founded the band Alter Bridge with Miles Kennedy. Creed reunited in 2009, released their 4th album Full Circle that year, and toured before parting ways again in 2012. After an 11-year hiatus, Creed reunited again in July of 2023 and subsequently announced headlining tours in 2024, 2025, and 2026 this year. Creed began in Tallahassee, Florida in 1994. Founding members, vocalist Scott Stapp and guitarist Mark Tremonti, had been classmates in high school and friends at Florida State University. Stapp and Tremonti realized that they had a mutual love of writing music and performing. After multiple discussions and multiple times spent writing songs, several of which addressed themes of Christian theology and spirituality, due to Stapp's background as the stepson of a Pentecostal minister. The duo held auditions that led to the recruitment of bassist Brian Marshall and drummer Scott Phillips, and rhythm guitarist Brian Brasher. The five-piece band lasted through 1994, with Brasher leaving in '95. Creed would remain as a quartet through 2004. After Brasher's departure, the four musicians collaborated on four songs that would form part of their chart-topping debut album, My Own Prison. The band found local success, playing shows in bars and small dives in Tallahassee. In 2012, Stab wrote that Creed first performed under the name Naked Toddler at Yanni's in Tallahassee. The name was picked up by Tremonti from a headline in that day's newspaper, but the reaction that night to the name was negative. Exactly. Why? If this band was named Naked Toddler from the start, then I would not be making this video for you today. The group was trying to find ideas for a better name when Marshall said he had been in a band called Mattox Creed. Stapp latched onto the Creed aspect, and the band agreed. Wanting a real show at a club, they managed to persuade the owner of a bar in Tallahassee to book them by claiming that they could guarantee an audience of 200 people. Owner and, manage, Owner and manager Jeff Hansen recalled that the band had played mostly cover versions, but two original songs stood out and impressed him so much that he promptly signed them to his management and promotions company and set about developing their act. For most of their recordings, he matched the band up with John Kurzweig, a producer and friend of Hansen's who he felt was an appropriate fit. Together, they recorded their debut album for $6,000, which was funded by Hansen. The album, titled My Own Prison, was initially self-released on their own label, Blue Collar Records, in April of '97, selling 6,000 copies throughout Florida. My Own Prison had been circulating around the music industry for a while when, in May of that same year, '97, Diana Meltzer from Wind Up Records heard the album and decided almost immediately that she wanted to sign them to the label, which had creative issues with Baboon over the latter's reluctance to alter their image and sound to suit the label's demands. Melcher later said that she heard an arena band with the same that she heard an arena band within the same week. Meltzer, together with Wind Up President Steve Lerner, CEO Alan Meltzer, and A&R representative Joel Mark, flew to Tallahassee to see Creed perform live and decided for sit-in whether to offer them a contract. Seeing the energy in the room, when Scott Stapp stepped up to the mic and hearing his powerful voice fill the room, alongside Mark Tremonti's now legendary guitar riffs and that big Creed anthemic rock sound was all I needed, she told Headquarters. According to Tremonti in his Wikipedia Fact or Fiction video in 2015, Creed had been rejected by Atlanta and Sherry Universal Records before Wind Up flew down to sign them. The band had signed with Wind Up Records in '97. My Own Prison was remixed, given a more radio-friendly sound, and re-released by Wind Up Records. In August of '97, 4 singles were released from the album. The title track, My Own Prison, of course, Torn, What's This Life For, and One. There's a greatest hits album that was made by Creed in 2004, which I will be talking about in a future video. Each of these songs reached number one on the Billboard Hot Mainstream Rock Tracks chart, making Creed the first band to accomplish such a feat with a debut album. Very well done, guys. Very well done. With little MTV exposure, media coverage, or label support, My Own Prison sold extremely well, moving over 6 million copies and going 6 times platinum. Creed continued to top year-end charts and was recognized as the Rock Artist of the Year at the 1998 Billboard Music Awards. My Own Prison was also the highest-selling heavy music record of 1998 on Nielsen SoundScan's hard music chart. The band's hit song "My Own Prison" was featured as a live performance on the charity album "Live in the X Lounge" in 1998. The band covered Alice Cooper's song "I'm 18" for the Faculty soundtrack in 1998. Critical reception towards "My Own Prison" was mostly favorable. Stephen Thomas Erlewine from AllMusic gave it 4 out of 5 stars and said Creed worked well within their boundaries, despite basically falling into the category of post-Seattle post-Seattle bands who temper their grunge with a dose of liveliness. The album lyrically deals with themes of questioning and struggling with faith and spirituality. With money made from My Own Prison, the band started to write for their second album, Human Clay. My introduction to this band. So many awesome songs on that. The band's first single, Higher, awesome song. Higher spent a record-breaking 17 weeks on the top of the rock radio charts. 17 weeks? What? 17 weeks? Nice. In 2009, Higher was ranked the 95th greatest hard rock song of all time by VH1. The album was released in 1999 when My Own Prison was still doing reasonably well. However, Human Clay was an instant and overwhelming success, debuting at number 1 on the Billboard 200 and selling over 10 million copies over the next 2 years, becoming one of the few rock albums to be certified diamond by the RIAA. The album was the band's first to hit number 1 in the US, where it debuted with the first week sales of $315,000 and stayed on top for 2 weeks. After the release of Higher and then the album in its entirety in 1999, 3 follow-up singles were released in 2000. What If, With Arms Wide Open, and Are You Ready? The first three singles topped radio charts, giving Creed a total of 7 chart-topping singles. The band would later go on to win a Grammy Award for With Arms Wide Open for Best Rock Song in 2001. Reviews for Human Clay were largely positive. Stephen Thomas Erlewine from AllMusic said that the record does make it clear that there is an audience for post-grunge hard rock, as long as it's delivered without pretension, and as long as it meets the audience's desire for straight-ahead, hard-hitting music. The lyrical content of Human Clay is a slight departure from that of My Own Prison, touching on subjects such as fatherhood and lucid dreaming, as well as darker, more violent themes. Touched on in songs, touched on in songs as such as What If and Wash Away Those Years. In March of 2000, an authorized home video about Creed was announced on the band's website but never released. During the summer of 2000, bassist Brian Marshall began a spiral into alcoholism. The band had a meeting with management to discuss Marshall's future. Stapp and Tremonti supported the idea of Marshall going to rehab and attempted rather to talk to Marshall into going, but he refused. Initially, the public thought Marshall was let go because he criticized Pearl Jam frontman Eddie Vedder in a radio interview with KNDD in June of 2000, claiming that Scott Stapp was a better songwriter and criticized rather Pearl Jam's recent albums for having songs without hooks. Stapp later distanced the rest of the band from Marshall's comment and stated, "Yes, we got tired of the PGA question, but there is no excuse for the arrogance and stupidity of Marshall. I ask you all not to judge. I ask you all not to judge Creed as a band, because the statements made were not the band's feelings, they were Brian's. I'm sorry if Brian offended anyone, and he has already apologized for his comments." Tremonti and Stapp were concerned for Marshall and their collective friendships, but soon after the controversy, Marshall formed a new band called Grand Lux with his old Mattox Creed bandmates. Stapp stated that Marshall leaving was his choice and was unrelated to the Pearl Jam comments. Brett Hessler from the band Virgos Mulu replaced Marshall as a touring member of Creed. And that's going to do it for this video, for this part of the video, folks. I'll be back soon with I'll be back soon with more on this video, starting with their third album, Weathered, in 2001, and their breakup from 2004. But that's all for now. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like, please share it, please comment on it, please subscribe to my channel, please click the bell for new notifications from me, and please follow me on X, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. But that's all for now. Bye.